All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. Welcome back to another episode of the Highlight Reel. I'm here with my boy Antonio, man. Tell the people who you are, man.
What's good, people? My name is Antonio Wooten, otherwise known as Kitchen Ebonics on Instagram.
We're gonna get into that for sure.
Yeah. I'm here with my main man, Jariah. So
yes, sir. So we went to high school together. I've always thought you were a super dope individual, and I've seen you do some very interesting things since I've known you in high school, which we're obviously going to get into today.
Yeah.
But first off, I just want you to basically tell the people who you are, what is it that you do, like go into that. Yeah, type B.
Yeah. My name is Antonio Wooten. I am 25 years old, originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
I see the rep in the set today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, rep in the set.
Absolutely.
Currently living and residing in Northeast Philadelphia.
We are in Philadelphia for this episode. Shout out.
City of Brotherly Love.
Yes, sir.
I've been here, I think, a little over 6 years with a slight break in between. Yeah, I know, right? I was thinking about that. That was one of my shower thoughts the other day. Like, man, I've spent pretty much all of my formative adult years in this city.
Wow.
Which is crazy to think about.
Okay.
What else am I? I am a designer. I am an at-home chef. I am a curator of culture.
Yes, sir.
I think I wear a lot of hats. I'm a believer. Yes. I identify as a Christian. Creative. I am a brother, a son, a cousin, go down the list. But yeah, I think those things kind of paint the larger picture.
I agree. When I think of you, I don't think it's just one thing. There's obviously now one main thing I think about, but when I think about you, I think about a whole lot of different things.
Yeah, respect.
Awesome. So first off, I want to know what brought you out to Philadelphia. That's what has been so confusing. Not confusing, but I didn't know that you've been out here that long. I don't think I knew that you've been out here that long. So what brought you out to Philadelphia in the first place? Why did you pick here?
Yeah, so when it came time to pick a school for college, I was in the process of narrowing down my options. It pretty much was staying at home or coming to Philly.
Okay.
As it relates to what was affordable, right?
Okay.
I'm not a trust fund baby, We had nobody was paying for college out of pocket like that. So
yes, sir.
There's a school named Philadelphia University. I didn't know a ton about it. I think they might have sent me something in mail, but they were one of the places that accepted me, and they were one of the few colleges that also offered industrial design, which was a degree I kind of narrowed down that I wanted to pursue.
Okay.
So we came to visit, and once I figured out how close it was to New York, I was like, yeah.
So you go to New York kind of often?
I go to New York. I mean, there was a period of time, actually last month, I was in New York almost every weekend out of the month.
How far is that from here?
It's basically like going to Columbus. So, 2 hours maybe. And matter of fact, because of how close I am in the Northeast, which is New York is north of here for reference. Yeah. It's like an hour 45 hours.
Oh yeah, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
I'll be there in a jiffy.
And in
no
college,
problem.
it was real bad. Like I was on the bus at that time, and this is how I reference inflation. I remember when the Chinatown bus was maybe $12-15 round trip.
Okay.
It's about 30 now.
Dang.
In the course of 6 years. Like, so
life comes at you fast.
Bruh, so you put things in reference to understand, like, with that in mind, it's like I would just go to New York without something to do, but just on a mission to figure things out, to learn, absorb. So that was part of the motivating factor for me. I just wanted to be somewhere that was a little faster. I think, Cincinnati at times can feel slow and or suffocating. That's not a slight. That's just like, that's certain things, right? So I'm grateful for home, but just to put that in context. So and also I came out here not necessarily knowing too many people out here. I think a couple of homies like Kira Chumtong and another friend of mine, Lydia, were in school at Temple out here. I click up with every once in a while, but my campus is actually a little bit isolated from the city. Yeah. So it is kind of northwest Philly. So it's like literally directly across from where we are now on the map. Okay. And it gave you like the best of both worlds. You can be in the city within like 15, 20 minutes, or you can just be kind of ducked off in a cut. So
Okay. Cause I feel like you kind of weave through. It's like you got times where you just want to be in the mix, and you got your other times where you just like
want to be to yourself.
Good. I'm good. Yeah. But you said you came out here because you feel like a lot of things are faster paced. So do you feel like that? How has that aided your growth as an individual? Period.
I think in more ways than one. It kind of makes a hustler out of you.
Okay.
I can tell the story, which might seem disconnected, but I remember one of my introductions to the East Coast when I first came to college. I don't know if you remember this, but I actually broke my foot senior year of high school.
I don't remember that.
And actually, I know what. Actually, it didn't happen during senior year of high school. I'm wrong. It happened in the summer of senior year of high school.
Okay.
And I was in a cast, and they, I basically had to contact the university in advance to see what accommodation they can make, which they promised a lot of stuff that they did not deliver on. Also, real quick, we can curse on here.
Yeah.
That might be a dumb question. I just gotta ask. You know what I'm saying?
Matter of fact, the funny thing is, so you broke your foot after you graduated?
Yes.
Okay, so that was the summer for me going into my senior year.
Right.
I broke my foot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I broke a toe.
Okay.
It's stupid, but I was running track, broke a toe. So I was in the house all summer. So we were probably going through the same thing,
right?
Which was
it
horrible.
Can be very isolating.
Yeah, it was.
You learn very quickly how terrible the world treats handicapped people, and it makes you like a little more sensitive. Like, dang, bro, there's really not as many accommodations as you are. But needless to say, what was the question? Why was I telling the story about the foot?
Because I was asking how has that aided your development?
Oh, okay. So being on the East Coast moves a little faster. One of the things that hit me very early, like I said, I had a broken foot. I held the door for this woman, and she just walked past me, didn't say nothing. And at first I took it personally.
Yeah, because it's like, shouldn't you be holding the door for me? Is that maybe what you're thinking?
You acknowledged me. Then I was like, okay. I was like, wait, let it sink in. Had a couple of interactions, just learn the way of the land. It's like, it's not personal. Like, this environment is just a little bit more coarse. Like, you got to understand that sometimes your interactions with people are not personal, but it's just circumstantial, like they're environmental. So, it kind of makes you realize, like, okay, sometimes you got to move past or brush past the things that you could, spend so much time idle in your head, analyzing and realize, okay, how do I problem solve in this moment? And or it's really just not that big of a deal. It's other things like I got to get to or get around to get to whatever the mission or vision is here, right?
So, okay. So it built
let me take things less personally to keep it a bean, like, which a bean. You'll hear some Philly slang pop out, and I promise I'm not like.
You're good.
Have you seen the John Morgan billboards? Okay. I hope you don't. We can,
So you feel like that has kind of helped you to kind of have a somewhat of a thicker skin as far as if something don't go your way or just different things like that to make sure that it doesn't really matter how you feel something needs to get done or you need to move forward anyway. Is that what you kind of get?
Yeah, I think of both and, when people are intentional, like when they mean it, they mean it, you know, and more often than not, it's like nobody's thinking about you as much as you are. Like,
that's a bar. That's a bar in general. I feel like I agree with that. A lot of times we have main character syndrome because, we are the main character in our own lives, but you have to think everyone that is around you is also their own. So you have to be aware of that as well. That's a scary thing to think about because it's like, how are we all interwoven in this one reality? But that just is what it is. So, okay. So I do want to pivot to why you changed your Instagram name to Kitchen Ebonics. Cause I feel like that made me I see that as somewhat of a rebranding for you as an individual. Cause I think most people associate Artists Need Lunch Money with you, which makes sense. But then to see Kitchen Ebonics, and then I see you cooking more and stuff. It's cool cause I'm thinking, oh shoot, you cook, but Kitchen Ebonics, it's a cool name. That's a cool name. But why did you change to that? What has happened here that changed you to do that, or is it something else that made you do that?
So it might be new to the world, as in the name change, but me cooking is something I've been doing for years. Yeah. And not in the food industry way, but just as a means of connecting with people. I think that funny enough is we are at a dinner table. And I did prepare some food that I would love for you to try.
Oh, for sure. Say less.
I had to drop that on the podcast.
Say less.
But it's been my way of connecting with people, like breaking bread, or even just what I've noticed in my time of being in college and even as a young adult is when you break bread with people, it's like one of the few moments you actually get to see people slow down and like tap in and see where they at in life, their thoughts. It's a very intimate thing, especially when people, like you mentioned even earlier, welcome you into their vulnerable spaces or their home, right? Like, there's some significance to that, and there's even like a history of that, of people like that being a means of connecting, right?
Oh yeah, because again, you probably wouldn't eat with someone that you're not comfortable with, or that you don't mess with. So when you think about it,
trust, it's like the both and, if you will. So
wow, I don't think about that enough.
Yeah, coupled with that, my dad is a chef, my grandfather's a chef. So it's kind of like
it's in the blood.
And then the irony in that even is like I would actually say I learned more of my cooking skills from my mom and my grandmother, like being around them in the kitchen, snapping green beans, cleaning collard.
You got me excited to try this food. For sure. Okay,
all that said, it's like I was introduced to food as an element of expressing love, right, or care for one another, if you will. And then as well, I think that I actually heard a clip that was like perfectly described how I look at food, because a lot of the things I create are fusion dishes. Somebody had said in this video I was watching, it was like, my friends look like the UN, right? So meaning that my palate also reflects a diverse, diversity that's not just like, oh, I like Asian food. It's like, what type of Asian food, right? Like, let's get into the nitty gritty of it, because if we're talking about, the experience you might have growing up, it could be like Panda Express, and it's not shade by any measure, but that's not Asian food in its entirety and or in its ways of being individually different. So wow, as that kind of came more into the forefront, as I realized like, oh, this is a way of connecting with people, let me share this part of myself that's kind of like not hidden intentionally, but like could do a number as far as like connective tissue between people. And also just like, wow, at the time it overlapped with this event that I'm sure we'll get into that I've been working on that involved food. So it's like, okay, people come in contact with me as it relates to food, they'll likely want to come to this event. It's like these worlds intersect more than you think. And even as it relates to art, to break down that name, Kitchen Ebonics is, the
slang,
black etymology, if you will, right? Like how black people kind of speak or have created their own language or words, if you will.
Absolutely.
The kitchen, as a space of preparing, creating, I think about the kitchen as like a canvas, if you will, the same way artists approach paint. It's like, you can make a plate. Yeah. And sometimes some of the best dishes look hideous. Yeah. And or some of the best, like, let's just be honest, right? Yeah. Like some of your best food would be like, you probably look crazy, but I'm telling you, bro.
And then some of the best looking food tastes horrible.
Right. Vice versa. And then like, how do you do both? Well, right. I think that's the challenge. Sometimes I approach in the kitchen, which is like, I'll spend hours just making something for myself, but it's even more exciting when I get to do it for other people.
So, do you ever feel like you're experimenting with like food?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't always know where I'm headed, but I know that I got to eat it. So, one of the questions I get a lot of times is like, oh, how did you learn to cook? And outside of the references I made to people, that I grew up around watching cook, messing up a lot of meals. Like I had a lot of fucked up food. Yeah. Like, I had a lot of food that was not good, bro. Yeah. Like I'm talking about, I didn't know, here's one for you. Yeah. And I didn't know that when you get the dried beans, you're supposed to rehydrate them. So,
I wouldn't have known that either. I'm not the best cook in the world yet either. So, but because you wouldn't think to do that if they're called that. Yeah. So I get that. Yeah. So continue.
So at this point in time, I only work with beans out of a can.
Okay.
Right. So I'm thinking, oh, you just put them in the rice, you boil it all. So I did that, and the rice kept cooking. The beans never cooked. Ooh. So the rice turned into this crazy type mush, right? And the beans just solid, like
rock solid.
You know what I'm saying? Sturdy. And I'm talking about, I made a big pot, bro.
So who ate it? Did you eat it?
The trash ate about half.
Oh, I'm about to say. Yeah, dang, bro.
Man, I tried, bro.
See, and that always hurts me just because I grew up not wasting food. So, that's just my mom.
It's a scarcity mentality sometimes, but
definitely is. Mm-hmm. But I think some of that comes from and maybe kind of an abundant mentality. I know some people don't get to eat because I know that. I always try to eat everything because I don't want to waste it. I feel those people that don't get to eat, if I'm wasting it, somebody would have ate that. So a lot of time I still don't really waste food. I'm maybe a little more lenient now, but whenever I see, if let's say I'm out and somebody ate half the plate and throws the rest out, dude, take that home, do something with it. I mean, give it to your sibling that might want it, or somebody might want that.
Right.
And I know that might come from it might sound like a scarcity mindset, but I've always thought about how some people don't. That's really what I think about. Some people don't get to eat. Right. So I'm gonna enjoy this plate. I was I referenced earlier in the season, I always think of ratatouille when I eat, because I didn't always close my eyes when I ate. Okay. But once I did, I would always try to envision those fireworks and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me enjoy the food.
Uh-huh.
But I think I learned something where if you eat and you close your eyes, you're kind of losing focus on the food. It makes sense, and I think it makes you sleepy because you keep closing your eyes. But I digress. I've always associated that with me wanting to make sure I finish my plate. So when it gets wasted, I'm hurt by that. But if it's not good, it's rarely a time where I say that was terrible. But if it's really not good, I'm thinking, why am I putting myself through that?
Right, it's torture.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So you've learned from those experiences, and now you feel like you are kind of sharpening your cooking knife, your kitchen knife, I guess. Okay, through experimentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I actually like how you kind of broke that down as far as how people connect through food. I don't think a lot of people think about that as often as we probably should. Right. If I wasn't comfortable with you, why am I eating with you? That feels weird. I feel guarded around you. I'm going to go far away from you and eat. Right. But I do love that food brings us together. It is a more of a community kind of thing when you are eating with other people. So for you to play such a part in that and to kind of analyze those relationships, I actually think that's a really interesting way to look at family and look at food, the relationship between both. So, I'll
just interject and say, like, not everybody has that experience either. Like, I think I acknowledge that now as a place of privilege I come from, as in, like, to have parents who cook growing up, right? Like, some people didn't have home cooked meals. Some people ate out every night, like, which is foreign to me. I'm like, bro, like, ain't no way I could.
I got some friends like that.
Where's the money coming from? That's what the math. It's like, I'm like, bro, every time I eat out, I'll be stressed.
That's what I think.
Even if the money in my account, I'm stressed. Like, I know the money. Like, I know it ain't nowhere near overdrive. It's like,
like I said, I have some friends that do that. They eat out all the, or I see them eat out a lot.
Right.
And some people are just piggy, but other times I'm thinking, bro, you telling me you didn't cook nothing this week?
You could make a 5-minute meal.
I'm serious. I mean, PB&J, make you some lunch meat, do something. You could mix it up.
You ain't got to be that creative. But again, it's like, that's a place of privilege, right? As in, like, to know how to cook, right?
Yeah.
And even for some people, it kind of also could connect to how you view food, because right now, like, I work in an office, we talk about food. So people don't really even engage in a conversation. That's cool. But, like, when I think about it larger, I'm like, oh, some people don't participate. I know one guy, he eats the same thing every day for lunch. Like, maybe rotates between two places.
Does he meal prep?
No. Like, I mean, like, he'll, like, go to...
It's different.
This place that we got Wawa here for those who don't know, or like Salad Works. And it's like, it's religiously, like, he goes the same. And some people, I mean, it kind of indicates as humans how we are creatures of habit, right? So maybe even if he did know how to cook, he knows that this is going to hit every time. So that's what he's going to, like, show up and go to. But I say that to say, like, you know, I think it's also something I will hope to introduce to people when they see me cooking, maybe as a young adult. They're like, oh, like, this is actually not that hard. Yeah. Or it can be approachable as something. It's something you can learn to do, because a lot of people, and I think it, you know, can be not necessarily pessimistic, like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, I don't know how to cook. And it's like, what if I told you don't even have to cook anything? You just have to put it all in the jar.
Right.
Like, you know, trying to introduce things in a way that's like more palatable.
Okay. Yeah. And backtrack real quick. What did you go to school for?
I went to school for industrial design, just product design.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna pivot to that real quick. So so you went to school for industrial design. So what is it? Are you doing anything currently with that?
So yes and no. So industrial design in short form is basically everything but buildings. Like, we design everything but buildings. So okay. Water bottles, cell phones, dealing with the aesthetic nature of things, not necessarily the mechanics, but sometimes industrial designers can also be engineers or know how to engineer.
See, I like design. I like the idea of design a whole lot, because I've started to realize design is really everywhere. Yeah. I think once I've realized that, it kind of overwhelmed me. Right. Because I didn't realize how many choices have been made. That's what I thought about. I took a design class in college, and I remember it was just small trivial things. For example, the base of this table. Someone said it needs to look like that. Right. I used to always think certain things just looked random, because I would think something like that is just random. Why would I think about what the base of my chair looks like, right? Or what the legs of my chair looks like. But someone made those decisions
with intention.
And bro, when you think about that, it changes everything. I'll start to wonder, what's my mistake? Right. What is my mistake? Where is it? Where can I find it? Because then I'm starting to realize so many people have essentially almost made choices for me. But it's also cool because it shows that design can be anywhere. You can and it doesn't have to just be something super tangible. It could be something. I've realized design is such an intricate concept.
World. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So what have you been doing with that? What are some maybe projects or things?
Funny enough, my day job, I'm a designer, and in my side hustle, I'm also a designer.
Yeah.
So in my work world, I work in the marketing department at a t-shirt company that I won't name because no airtime.
Yeah.
That's keeping it being. I'm actually I'm transitioning jobs too, so which I'll still be in a marketing related role, an extension of communication. And I think that's actually the adaptation for me in design. I'm not working on products specifically. I'm working more in a digital medium, but I realize that design is a form of communications.
Yes,
right?
it is.
It is how you communicate with people visually, verbally, etc. Right. And not everybody does that effectively. Like, we can agree that sometimes I look at a flyer and my brain breaks. I'm like, I don't even know where the date is.
Yeah,
I'm just about to keep scrolling. You know what I mean? It's like you realize, like, especially the older you get, it's like I need information clear, cut, and dry.
I need the dates.
I'm not about to be scanning this y'all for 5 minutes. Like, it just So needless to say, my day job is kind of interfacing with email marketing materials, so like kind of designing content for emails, and we have an email audience of like I think almost 1 million people or more, if not. It's a pretty
email list.
A newsletter, if you will.
That's huge.
So they're marketing to businesses, and I'm probably underestimating businesses, consumers, like the whole gamut, right? And then otherwise, I'm doing stuff like editing product images, editing content for the website. Like, it's a lot of different things. Like, I wear a couple different hats. Outside of that, though, in my side hustle, I do a lot of freelance work for nonprofits, small businesses, the like. So consulting, all that jazz.
So I'm guessing you kind of get fulfillment and joy from that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think I have to. The more I do it, the more selective I become as like the projects I take on or don't, if you will. Just because it's like if I do it at home and at work, it's kind of like I need to take a break in between, or the projects I do, they should be exciting. I should, enjoy doing them. So that's kind of led me to really think twice about what I say yes to and what I don't. And because, circumstantially, like, especially as I'm making a career change, or not a career change, but a job change, I don't have to. I'm not coming from a place of need where I think for a period of time it was like I was taking on anything I could get. To meet a financial need, and it kind of put me in this place of being dissatisfied with what I was creating.
Right, but I also feel like you kind of had to go through that to get to where you are now.
Sometimes it's a both and. I'm grateful to have had those experiences where it's like I did work I'm not proud of, and it's not in my portfolio. It paid a bill or two, so I'm not not grateful for it, but I think that has informed my work a little differently.
You kind of had to learn what you didn't want to do to really figure out what you did want to do.
Right, and even do a better job of marketing my what kind of clients don't want to attract, right? That's also like something whether you're conscious of it or not, like you do play a part in who comes your way, because some people out of respect will be like, I know I'm not ready for him yet. Or I've had people be like, I respect your price, but let me circle back to you in 6 months.
Okay. I can respect that, because sometimes you might reach out to somebody that's like, I really do want to work with you, but I can't do it right now. I can actually respect that, because you not asking for no discount. You just know that you gonna have to do something different before you come back. But I think I don't think I knew that you went to school for that. You came, like, I know you've been out here, and I've always saw you as a creative, but I just didn't know. As much as I see you design stuff, I never necessarily thought you just do design. I've never thought just design. I've always thought you were doing just a bunch of different things. That's how I think about you.
And it's not surprising you say that, because there are a lot of people I know, even just in my time out here, I was like, bro, I didn't even know you did design work. And I was like,
I've seen
I can understand it, because it is not at the forefront of my, like, the work I share, the things I share online. It's not intentional, but I realize, like, as friends or people have challenged me, it's like it's no mission of my creative abilities, so why not share it, right? I think I've always thought that was cool, because I've seen you do different kinds of projects, or I'll see you do random stuff. Like, I feel like I always see you do stuff where artists need lunch money, so when I see something else, I'm wondering, what is that? What are you doing? But like I was saying, I'm understanding how design is important, how extremely important it is for communication, because if you want to communicate something artistically, design can help you do that. If you want to help relay a certain message strategically, or just in a very
in a certain manner, design helps you to do that, basically.
Right,
so when I see you do these different things, it always has made me wonder what it is that you do, because I don't think I knew you went to school for that.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense now. All right, so I think that we should go ahead and get into Artists Need Lunch Money, right?
Yeah.
So tell the people what that is, what was the idea behind starting that?
Yeah, so in its short form, Artists Need Lunch Money is a company at the center of trying to figure out how to create more equitable futures for artists, right? It started out as an art show. Myself and a friend of mine named Nazir Meacham, who's still grading work, really talented artist.
Yes, sir.
Go check him out. I'm not going to butcher his name, but we can put it on the screen later.
Yeah.
His Instagram name, because he's changed his handle a couple times. But at the time, I was actually interning in Chicago. He and I, we've been friends at this point. He was actually just out here a few weeks ago for his birthday. I think we've been friends for almost 16 years. So at this time,
for us to be able to say stuff like that is insane.
Yeah, like just be friends with somebody for that long, like, is a testament to, like, just doing life together.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can say there's been no instances of our schisms or things like that. I've just learned a lot through being a friend to him and also a brother. Like, it's really like my brother. Like,
right. Yes, sir.
We went on family vacations together. Like, this is my guy.
Yes, sir.
So he wanted to do an exhibition of sorts to share some of his work with people and tap me, just like knowing the resources or connections I had. So over like a 2-month period, maybe even less, I was pulling resources from here and there, like raising capital, however I could get it, like, hustling, if you will. Found a space, we locked in a date, and we went live with what was just a joke, essentially. We were talking just about ideas, etc. And I think I asked him a question at one point in conversation. This might have been even before we knew we were going to do the show, about his transition to being a full-time artist. And one of the questions I asked him was like, oh, like, if you had enough money for lunch and some leftover art supplies, it should be good. He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, I guess artists need lunch money. It's like it came and went, whatever, move on to the next thing. And then, like, sat with it, chewed on it some more. I was like, wait, that actually, like, that might be
might have something there.
Yeah, so that became the name of the show or event, if you will, which is a one-day event at Mortar's previous space in Walnut Hills. Brought out a little over 100 people, I think. We have merchandise there as, like, memorabilia, if you will, kind of the same way that you would at a concert. We wanted people to have something to say that they were there.
Yeah.
Right. And also understand at that time, as far as our audience is concerned, we were like probably 19, 20 at the time.
Yeah.
People who didn't have the money necessarily to drop a couple of hundred on a canvas, but we knew the value of his work, so we didn't want to diminish that.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, we can sell merch as like kind of a middle ground for people to still be able to sew into this larger mission.
You was there, man. Yeah. That's very entrepreneurial, man.
Yeah,
for real.
Bless. So with that being said, that merch kind of took on a life of its own. After we wrapped, of course, he had stuff left over. He started to get a couple commissions here and there. People took interest. I went back to college, and this would have been my junior year, if you will. And two things happened. Like, there's a market they have every year for my school where they have a bunch of like small, like basically anybody who has a business on campus or small business pull up and sell in like this like green yard or whatever. I also had gotten a design fellowship for this like social equity design firm out in St. Louis. And I just started moving merch. Like, I was at that festival thing they did. I was moving merch there. Then I came back to campus, sold merch there. People just kept asking about it. So it kind of took on a life of its own, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And that was the launch, I guess, if you will, of the brand. And then from there, I've continued to work with Nas, like, formally and informally. Yeah, when he was out here, kind of one of the things we were doing, and hopefully I'm not sharing prematurely, but it's like doing some like research about how to really get his stuff out there, like with the intention, and this is maybe premature, this is the first time I'm probably sharing it publicly, but like to basically launch a form of, or an extension of Artists Need Lunch Money that acts as like an art consultancy. With an understanding that a lot of artists have the creativity, but not the connectivity. Connectivity meaning the business mindset or understanding how to put their work in galleries, create relationships, and just acknowledge that some things about the traditional art world still work for a reason. And that's part of why I go to these shows and these gallery openings to really see like how people move about the room, like what does art money look like, and you'd be surprised if you like you brush shoulders with people and it's like, oh yeah, he has like a few $1 million worth of pieces. And not that it's supposed to look away, but it's like if you don't understand how that world works, it can be intimidating to you. So Long story short, Artist Lunch Money started as an art show
Yeah.
that grew into a brand. And as we're going into what I would consider the third phase, is understanding like how do we service artists more directly,
Yeah.
and also with the intent of putting the lunch money in their pockets, right? Like, and we've been able to do that through collabs, like things with Roberto, or even like working with the homie Nas, right?
Yes, sir. Real quick plug, shout out
commercial
Sharp Boy Roberto. Hey, artists need lunch money. Hey, he got a hoodie on.
Yes,
this
sir.
is my hoodie, my own hoodie.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like that, bro. I've just always respected that because I remember when I first saw the name, I said, I have never ever thought of that, but I feel like it kind of helps as far as, you know, how you hear about the starving artists. Like you're an artist, but you're not making any money.
Right.
And then like literal starving as far as needing lunch money. Like I create, but I got to eat too. And it's hard for me to do that. So when I was seeing the different products and even different events show up for that, I was thinking, dang, what is this? Who made this? So then once I knew that you was behind it, I was thinking, bro, I go to school with some real cool people. I just always thought that was really dope.
Yeah, not one person crazy.
And then, of course, I identify kind of as an artist, just one that likes to create, whether that's, like, you know, I used to sing, I would rap, all that different stuff. It was easy for me to resonate with it because I know I've heard of a lot of people that want to make music or make art and they have a hard time paying the bills. So how can you help them to meet that middle ground to where they can have something? Because for you to say we're going to have basically like an art show, people come see the art, you don't want to diminish the value of that. So you provide other things.
We want it to sell. We want the art to sell.
Yeah, like you want it to sell. But it's like, just in case people can't do that because artists need lunch money, they might get something else.
Lower price point.
Yeah, to basically say, hey, I was there. Because then there's a social value in that. I was there. Were you? Right. You know, it's one of those things. So for you to be thinking that far ahead and basically you didn't really have to consult anybody about that. You just kind of came up with that.
Yeah, I mean, it was problem solving on the fly, right?
See,
like
design. Bro. This, hey, that is so cool because it takes some people. It takes a lot to even get to that point. For example, I might be the one that will just throw on an art show and just hope that we can make some money. But for you to think about how people can also use this to kind of spread word of mouth to say, I was at this event. Oh, you weren't there. When are they having another one? You know, it's gonna make you say, okay, there's an audience for this. There's a demand. So now it's gonna make it easier for you to go forward to reach that and to meet that. But it takes some people a little minute to get to that point. So to see that you were already having that mentality, that's why I said entrepreneurial as well, because it's creative but entrepreneurial as well. And that's what some artists miss. They're very artistic, but how can you convert this into something that's gonna help you make some money? So for you to come up with something like that is dope. And then of course, like one more time, shout out my boy Roberto. When I saw that y'all collabed, I was thinking, bro,
and that was years in the making.
Exactly,
like years in the making.
Just seeing different products like that, and to see, because I originally thought of it as a clothing brand, but I think I'm becoming more aware of the fact that it is much more than that,
right?
Which I respect.
And I think that's where I label it the third phase, because we have a due diligence to do for people to understand that this is actually like what we do, and it happens so much behind the scenes that we have to make sure people understand, like, oh, you're not just clothing. Like, the clothing is merely an engine, if not a funding mechanism for the things we really want to do. So, you know, everything takes resources to.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So
I could definitely learn some things from you for sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So now that I know of because I don't think I've ever known before, maybe the last year, about your interest in food and your kind of relationship with that. Do you ever, I don't know if we're going to get premature right here, but have you ever thought about maybe doing something like that at an Artist Need Lunch Money kind of showcase or something? Think about that?
Right. So, I mean, as an extension of that, pretty much all of our anniversary events have included food, like intentionally. And I think at least one or two of them, my cousin prepared the food for. She went to school for culinary arts. Shout out Mariah Davis.
Yes, sir.
And because we feed the people, right? And all of our events are free intentionally with the hope or expectation that, like, you know, spend money, right? Or buy merch to kind of support us being able to continue to do this.
Right.
Will those two worlds come together? Yes. Do I have a definitive win? No. Yeah. So yes, but
okay. Because now those are the two things that when I think about you, those, like I first think of this, and now I think about food.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, how do those
and it's in
relate?
the name, and that's the irony, I think, too, that some people might see is like Kitchen Ebonics, Artist English, like everything I do somehow has food in it.
Oh,
You know,
I
like,
didn't even think of that.
yeah.
Yeah, because I was just wondering what that relationship was like, because I know most people probably think of you for this. So when we think of something else, it also speaks to who you are as a person. Obviously, you're not just one dimensional. I like this thing and I do this, but I also do this. So I've just been wondering if those are working their way towards each other to work together. And then also I do want to ask, what made you, so recently you did something, it was called Women Make the World Go Round, right?
Yeah.
So what was it that kind of drove you to have that series on Instagram? What was it like? What drove you to do that?
Yeah, so that was kind of me challenging myself with the muscle I hadn't flexed in a while. Like, I feel like I used to do a lot of, it sounds so simple, but like front face, like talking to a camera on Instagram is something I used to feel a lot more comfortable with. I feel like when Snapchat was popular, and then just over time, I became less and less comfortable, or like more in my head about it.
Yeah.
And I found myself, I still do go to so many art events or, galleries and shows.
Yep.
And when I think about art, and part of the artists that I would love to serve through Artist and Lunch Money, they are under, resource people, BIPOC, women, LGBTQ plus, like people who have voices that are maybe not as at the forefront, but of value in these spaces. And it just coincided that like I had gone to a lot of shows that were highlighting women, and Women's History Month was coming up. So I was like, yo, how can I use my voice and platform to highlight a population of artists, gallerists, curators, etc. And that's what I came up with. Like, I didn't really go into it super scripted. I was shooting maybe 2 episodes a day and something like that. And I just kind of like launched, if you will, and the response was crazy. Like, even just the stats on it, I think we have reached over like 23,000 people through like just that series. I'm trying to think what were others like notable numbers. Like, I think it was like over 12,000. Like it was basically like
people was
probably the most massive series that I've created and seen a response from, but also acknowledge that like people actually do care to see this stuff.
Yep.
And, people have a desire to see, well crafted content on Instagram, right? So it was somewhat formulaic and a test of like, can I do this and commit to it? And I saw it through, as I set out to do. And ultimately, I want to do, there's some more content or ideas in the queue. I think I'm trying to balance my time with my ideas, which I'm sure you could relate to.
Absolutely.
But that one was merely inspired by like the artwork itself that was being created, to be honest. I guess I didn't have to look far for it. It was kind of right in front of me.
Yeah.
And some of the shows were a little bit like older in my lexicon. Like I saw like the Jewel Ham show in October of last year, but it was still sitting with me. Like, those pieces were great. And I actually bought a print and have it upstairs.
Okay.
Because like some of it is like me talking about people who I'd love to collect one day and or really break bread with, or some of the people I actually got a chance to meet, and actually a lot of them I've got a chance to see their artwork, and that's what kind of became the catalyst, if you will.
I feel like as much as I've been hearing let's break bread, I think in the last week I've heard you say it a few times, but I think I'm starting to like that a little more. It sounds, it's like, let's break bread. Let's let's come together. Let's kind of enjoy each other's company over some food or over something else. So I'm loving it. I love hearing that, and I just think it's cool to see so many different things come from this creative person. Because again, there's so many things that people think about you. There may be a certain thing that people think of when they think of you.
Yeah.
But to keep seeing more and more ideas come from you, I think that speaks to who you are as an individual, but other people can do the same thing. Some people might know you for one thing. You can also share these other ideas that you may have, because you may never know the response that you might get to it.
Right.
And it's just, I know that probably feels good to you, because I express myself through this, do this, do this. I'm learning about myself through this, and this, and other people at the same time. So to see all of that unravel and unfold, I love to see that for individuals, and I love to see that for creatives. So what are some maybe other big ideas or other big events that you are thinking about coming up, that you kind of have in the works? you speak to any of those?
Yeah, just to follow up to what you just said, it's certainly affirming. And I think to expound upon the breaking bread, one of the taglines I've been playing around with is break bread and build bridges, because I think that another thing that food offers us is a chance to connect with, you know, the quote unquote other. And it's not like in some way of like, let's put polarizing opinions in a room. It's like, all right, bro, we've seen this before, but more so to be introduced to people who we might not otherwise come in contact with. But to get to the heart of what you said about like what's in the works or queue.
Yeah, what can you share?
We already have our next event lined up for Grits and Fits. So June 1st, which I think you'll be here around that time.
Oh shoot, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so
I'm in there.
Ironing out the details for that. That's happening this year. I am working on another collection with Roberto.
You didn't have to say nothing else.
That's exclusive right there.
Yes, sir.
I am. What else am I working on,
man?
I guess I can share this now. It's official. I accepted another position actually I'm working as the merchandise coordinator for Black Star Film Festival.
Who?
So Black Star Film Festival is a annual festival that happens here in Philly, like showcasing Black and Brown filmmakers' work. So yeah,
I got nervous for a second. I thought of Black Star the group.
No.
Most definitely Tyler Quality. I was about to say,
Nah. Yeah.
Okay, Black Star
It is
Film
a
Festival.
significant festival, and the fact that it's been around for over a decade. But really excited about that. That's one that I have really had high hopes for. So I'm glad that came to be. They actually had offered me a position larger than what I applied for. So it really like affirmed a lot of what I had hopes and prayers for increase. I like seeing happening right before my eyes. So.
Oh, man. I love that for you, bro.
What else can I share? There's some travel upcoming. I'm supposed to be going to PR in September.
Okay.
I might be going out of the country later this year.
Yep.
And then as far as other projects are concerned, I think everything else is probably under wraps and keeps that I can.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, that's plenty. You just dropped some bars right there. I didn't. So you and my dog, y'all got some more stuff coming.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, man. I feel like having this conversation with you was something I really wanted to have because
likewise. I mean, as I mentioned to you, I'm going to give you a flowers while we're here right now, not just for the camera, but so you can receive it. Like you have been creating some really dope content. Like the episodes you create, I really sit with them for a while.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about like, I literally been taking notes. Like I have I don't even share this. I have a notes tab called WOW. And it stands for Words of Wisdom. Yeah. And there's a couple notes I've taken just off of there's one episode in particular, I think I send you a screenshot of it. It's with your homegirl. She has glasses that might not help you narrow down to anybody.
Keep going.
But thank you for having the mindset to create something like this in a world that's full of opinions and noise and podcasts about God knows what. Yeah. I think this was unique to your platform is that I get introduced to creators and or people that I didn't previously know. Yeah. And just something that's refreshing, you know, and like I said, in a world that can feel noisy. So if you don't hear it from anybody else, receive this from me. Like the world needs your creativity. I appreciate that. And the future's brighter with you in it. I appreciate that. And likewise, for sure, man. Because again, I remember to think really far back in high school, the NSE days. Okay. NSE. Yeah. Wow. You taking us back. Yes, man. We were briefly in a collective called NSE, and it stood for nothing, something, everything. Yeah. And then it was like another saying. I think it was like never assume greatness. Yeah. And I remember that was one of the first times I think we were kind of connected in something. And I always thought that was cool. And then to see people that you might have been associated with in the past, and then to see them go on to do cool things after that, it's always so cool because it's like, oh, I knew you at a certain point in time. I might not know you the same way I did, but we were in this probably for a reason because, again, nothing, something, everything, never assume greatness. There's more that's coming from this. Right? Absolutely. So when I see other people that are kind of just living out their passions and their ideas and doing things with them, I think it's important to, take a moment and appreciate that and to note that because some people are scared and they might not do anything and some people just don't want to, right? So for the people that do, I think it's something to be appreciated. So likewise to you because, bro, this is needed. The food,
bro, like some of the stuff I see you cook, oh my gosh, I get upset. I'm thinking, bro, how have I not ever known this? How did I not know that you like to do this? I would have been asked for a plate. I would have been asked for something for real. Like, it just makes too much sense to me. It makes too much sense. But yeah, man, I just want to say thank you for being a guest. Are there any, what are some last minute gems that you maybe want to leave the audience?
A plug, yeah. This is a message to black men. Like, this may be totally breaking from what we were just on.
Go ahead.
Say it because it's been a value to my life. Counseling and therapy are valuable resources.
Yes,
and if you have them at your disposal, I would encourage you to tap in with them. I've seen the fruits and benefits from it in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for me, connected to grief, like losing somebody close to me a couple years ago. But beyond that, just to really understand who I am, the things that make me tick, like even just, you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it encourages more introspection. So I'm offering that as a word of encouragement to anybody that may be on the fence, and or to encourage people. Like I had a counseling session today.
Yes,
So things don't have to be bad for you to like seek out.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think
rough.
that's important to state, because sometimes we
hold it until then.
Yeah, or in a state of crisis when we seek help, which is like, however you get there, like, get there, right? But I think that knowing the statistics around mental health Go
ahead.
Knowing the statistics around, black men and their health in general, but also like how many black men commit suicide and or just deal with mental health episodes, and even the histories as it relates to my own family. It's like, I want to, for people to know that like that's a space that we need to tap into. Like,
absolutely.
We can go to the gym and get this right.
Yeah,
this is another muscle that we got to get right too, and not even get right, but like to put the work and development into. So I want to share that because that's something that's been on my heart, and it's something that I talk to a lot with my homies. Like, we're very vulnerable in that way, and I realize that not all black men have that.
Yeah.
And again, that's one of the other privileges that I think is unique to my college experience. I met some really dope black men that I'm like we locked in like that, So yeah, I hope somebody can like use that however they will, right?
To put my 2 cents into that, I do think that maybe people are not necessarily going to therapy, because I'll be honest, I don't go to therapy. I would love to, but I don't. But I do think people are becoming at least a little bit more vulnerable.
More aware, yeah.
Because I've said recently, I tell a few of my guy friends like I love you, and it used to feel really weird.
Right.
But again, it's like, bro, I'm a human too, so I need to be able to tell you that, because again, there have been times where the men that are in my immediate family, I wasn't telling them that, and it's like, well, I love them, so why not?
That's the hold up.
So I think that's something I've been helping to maybe break the mold in my family as far as that, because if we all feel that, then it makes us easier to connect, break bread. You know what I mean? It's like, I know that you're here for me, and you know that I'm here for you. So it's important for us to feel that. But again, yes, black men, black people, period.
Yeah.
Go to therapy. It's very important. It is needed.
Yeah. And it's a very, real quick too, it's a very non-linear process. I think that for me, even I started, when I first encountered it, I think it was in my junior year of college, and I went a couple sessions, didn't enjoy it. I revisited it I've been in counseling now for a second time, a little over a year now.
See, the thing about that is that's probably natural. I feel like most people probably do that. They're like, I like that. I don't need that. I'm not going back. Then you say, let me try again. Yeah. Then you like, okay, I need this for sure.
Certainly. And it's not gonna, I think, and I say this not that it should inform people's experience, but like, it's not going to fix your life. And also, it's not for everybody. Like, there are different approaches or ways to healing and dealing. But I think I found for me that it's definitely been a space of like a neutral party to share things with that I don't fully understand for myself, and or specifically to develop tools. One of the things that my counselor said that I'm still chewing on, he said, boundaries are in place not to keep people out, but to like continue to create space to keep them in. As in, like, I put these things in place, or there's conversations we're not going to have, or things we won't breach, because I know that like you might not be as sensitive as I need you to be on this topic. So it's like, just trust me when I say like, hey, let's save that for a later time. So it's like being able to advocate for yourself, or like have that language that you didn't have at one point in time, have been like really helpful tools.
Boundaries are just hard for the person setting them, usually, and for the person that's receiving them, because
and it's only like one part of,
because I know sometimes it signals a rift, but it's like, no, I actually want to keep you here. I'm just also letting you know. And I that's one of the hardest things about boundaries. It's like, bro, I'm setting these for you and me. So trust me on this. This is probably what we need. But man, you've been dropping gems. I'm not surprised. I expected this, but I just want to say thank you again for being a guest on the Highlight Reel. Much appreciated, man. Looking forward to breaking bread in a second. Anyway,
absolutely.
And then again, thank you to the listener. Thank you to the watcher of this episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. I hope that you've been able to take something away from this episode. But that's been your episode, and that's it. Peace out.
Peace.